Welcome back to Powering Conversation with SP Energy Network. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Kim James from Lismore Rugby Club, where she is going to chat to me around her incredible story about coming back from breast cancer and getting back to rugby. Okay, what's your dog called?
So two, I've got Max and Milo.
Right, what kinds of dogs are they?
A golden
This is
retriever.
my favourite topic.
Golden retriever and a Labrador.
Oh, we've got so my family have two Labradors, and I've got a long-haired miniature Dachshund.
Oh, so cute.
Right, so we're going to talk about rugby now.
Yes.
Okay, let's go inside. Well, welcome to the studio, Kim.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm really good. How
Good?
are you?
Yeah, very well, thank
Good.
you. So before we kind of dive into your story and all that you've been through in the last couple of years, your incredible story for that matter, I want to just chat a little bit about kind of, I guess, how you got into rugby and how you ended up in Edinburgh. Obviously, you're not from here, as we will tell when you start talking. But how did you first get into rugby and how did you end up in Edinburgh?
So I've been in Edinburgh about 5 years. So I'm from Bristol, so from right down south, and I met a guy down there who was from Edinburgh, so he always wanted to move back. So, you know, I was happy to do so, live in a new city, that kind of thing. So I got a job up here and everything, and we lived with his parents for a little bit. And then there was a social at the rugby club.
He plays rugby?
He plays rugby,
Yeah.
so he plays for Lismore, and he was like, come along, you know, the girls are really nice, everybody's really lovely and friendly, and I'm like, okay, sure. So I go to this Oktoberfest, and he's right, everybody is so friendly, so lovely, so nice. Obviously they want me to play rugby, that's the main thing. And I was so resistant initially, like so resistant, I think because it can be quite intimidating, like it's quite an intimidating sport. So so initially I was very, very nervous. But yeah, I came down to training, started playing 5 years ago, and
Here we are.
here we are.
What did you first love about the sport or about being part of the rugby community?
Probably the people, because for me, being in a new city, like it was really difficult to not know anyone and stuff like that. And I think that was the main thing that attracted me.
Yeah.
You know, like 20 plus girls that like all were like so lovely.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. I
Yeah.
think, for me, like that's the same. Like the people definitely make rugby.
100%.
Yeah. So obviously you took up the sport 5 years ago, and you've had a little bit of a turbulent time, I guess we could say, since then. So back in 2019, do you want to tell us a little bit around kind of what actually happened and your journey from there?
Yeah, so by total chance, I found a lump in my breast. I'm not somebody who like would say that I like check my breasts regularly. I mean, we probably all should, but it's not something that we like think to do necessarily. So it was totally by chance. Like I didn't even, and I left it for a couple of weeks, and I thought, you know, it's probably nothing. I was 26 at the time, and I was like, you know, what could it possibly be so young? Yeah. You know, no family history or anything like that. So I went to my GP, and they referred me on. She said, look, better to be safe than sorry, like let's get it checked. It's always better to sort of do these things. And then she referred me on to the breast clinic. I had an appointment like not long after. The process was really, really quick. And I had biopsies and I had different tests and stuff like that. And then they called me in after for more tests because they were inconclusive and they were quite, not secretive, but they were quite aloof about what.
Didn't reassure you.
Yeah, and so they were like, come in for more biopsies. And I was like, okay. In the back of your mind thinking, is this something? But again, in the forefront of your mind, you think like, it can be me, you know? So, then I went back again by myself because I thought it would be nothing. And he said, can you come back in tomorrow and can you bring somebody? And so immediately I was like, this is not good. So then, they gave me the diagnosis of early stage breast cancer.
Okay. Big, obviously, like, probably, I guess, one of the worst things that you can hear. What was your immediate kind of feelings, I guess, off the back of that?
again, like it's a lot of like, why me sort
Yeah.
of initially,
Yeah.
like it's a lot of that, and then like your mind goes all the way to, you know, you think of people who have chemo and stuff like that in like in films, and
Yeah.
like it's like the worst thing in the whole world, and like losing your hair is obviously
Yeah.
like the biggest horrible thing. So it was that for me was the big.
Yeah, I looked at some of your Instagram posts and they were all about your hair. Was that something that did kind of like was? I mean, as a woman, it's quite terrifying.
100%, and I think that was the main thing for me. That was the main big thing, and it was the first question I asked.
Yeah.
Am I going to lose my hair? And they said yeah. And it's not just the hair on your head. You lose your brows and your lashes and everything, like all your hair everywhere. So so that for me that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had hair down to my bum. Like I had really really long hair.
Well, it looks great now.
Thanks.
Obviously, this was also kind of adding fuel to the fire in terms of it was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
How was it, obviously, going through that during such what was like obviously a pretty stressful time for everyone, but to have something like that happen at that point as well?
So, so luckily my chemo finished just as it was ramping up, just as lockdown was ramping up and things like that. So, sort of towards the end of February was my last chemo session. So I had like 6 altogether, and I think like shielding and stuff was really difficult because I was shielded. I think they say it's like 3 months after chemo you're still vulnerable and you've still got like the toxins in your system and stuff like that. So I was shielding at the time. So me and my partner were stuck in the house. Obviously I couldn't go anywhere. His mum was like dropping shopping around to us and through the window wearing a mask and gloves. Like you think back on these things and
mad,
it's like
isn't it?
a crazy time.
I know.
So I was shielded for a while, and then I had 2 surgeries during the pandemic, which was pretty horrible. Yeah. Pretty bad time.
How important was your rugby family and the rugby community during that time in terms of supporting you and everything else?
Do you know what? Funnily enough, my breast cancer nurse was a rugby player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, how funny. I think she played for Stirling, but so she knew, like, we would always catch up about rugby and things like that. So just a random aside there. But yeah, the rugby girls, like, and guys, and like the whole club, I mean, I couldn't have asked for better people to support me at the time. Yeah. Especially because for me, my family were far. So my family were still in Bristol. They were coming up to visit when they could and you know, came to a couple chemo sessions. But like having no family up in Edinburgh meant that, you know, the rugby team became my family, really. You know, and they were there through all the treatment. And I think I was quite like open about what I was going through and like side effects and stuff like that. And I would still go to like the rugby club for like an hour or so. If there was a social on, I wouldn't stay all night because I was like obviously exhausted. Yeah. But it was nice that like people were interested in what was going on. And from my point of view, it was nice to be able to tell people what the process was. Yeah. And that like, okay, it is scary and not the nicest thing in the whole wide world, but I'm still here. Yeah. And I'm still at the rugby club and I'm still, you know, as normal as I can be.
Definitely, yeah. Is that something you're quite passionate about now in terms of raising awareness around, because obviously, like you say, you weren't someone that necessarily checked, but is that something that you are quite passionate about in terms of raising that awareness? And
I think that being a young woman in a team of young women, I think it helped open a lot of people's eyes to the whole situation. So I had no family history, and I don't have the BRCA gene, so I don't have that. So it's just like totally random. So I think being in a team of young women and being able to like tell them what's going on and how I found the lump and things like that and all that kind of stuff, I think has really helped.
Oh, massively. And I think it is so important, and like even like chatting to you now, I'm like, gosh, you should come in and chat to our team and raise awareness there, because it is something that we definitely need to be aware of and we don't talk enough about. So moving on to happier times, when did you find out that you were cancer free?
So great question. I probably know that date off by heart, really, shouldn't I?
I really thought you would.
So I had my last chemo in February 2020.
Cool.
And then I had a surgery, and then I had a mastectomy in June.
Yeah.
June. So it would have been after that point that I was cancer-free. So yeah, June, July 2020. What was the question, sorry?
Just when was it?
When was it? Okay, great.
You
that
nailed
was
it.
that.
And I guess off the back of that, obviously we heard what you felt when you got the news that you had cancer. How was that feeling when you finally got the news that you were cancer-free?
Probably more emotional than the other side. I think that, again, it's something that I've shared on social media and, you know, shared with the team and stuff like that. And like, obviously it's such a nicer thing to be able to share.
Yeah.
And everyone's so happy for you. And it's like, there's no feeling like it.
Yeah.
None.
And was your immediate thought, like, let's get back into rugby?
I think once I'd had the all clear and everything, I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Was there any, like, fears around going back to sport and back to rugby, a contact sport, which obviously...
Yes.
Yeah.
So my team, my cancer team, so you've got your surgeon, your oncologist and your nurses and stuff. It's quite nice. You really get to know everyone because you're there, and I think I was one of their youngest patients, so like people know who you are and that kind of stuff.
What age were you when you were diagnosed?
26.
Okay.
So yeah, it was the support of those guys sort of got me back into rugby and without fear. So like I said, my breast cancer nurse was a rugby player.
Yeah.
So they have like weekly meetings to talk about cases and stuff. And she told me, she was like, I'm really fighting for you to have, you know, the type of breast implant that you can play rugby again.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm fighting for you to not have, so I was supposed to have radiotherapy.
Yeah.
But the way that it sort of, the direction it goes in, it was going to nick my lung. And so she really fought for that not to happen.
Yeah.
Because it would have really affected my ability to play rugby again. So it's great to have the team.
Oh, yeah.
They know what I do in the sport and stuff like that. So that helped to like stop a lot of fears. Because obviously, you know, I knew that they were doing the right thing for me to be able to go back to rugby without being sort of worried about what's going to happen and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and last season, obviously, you got back to it.
Yes.
You played all season. How was it? Did you love it?
Yeah, I mean, just like normal.
Yeah.
Totally like normal. I think the first couple of games, I was obviously really nervous, and I have to wear armour now, just to be safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first couple of games back was, I was really, really nervous.
Yeah.
But
because
now,
of being back playing rugby, or because of obviously what you've been through and worried about pain and stuff like that?
Probably that. More worried about, you know, I've had a mastectomy on one side.
Yeah.
So more worried about if I take impact to the chest.
Yeah.
You know, is something gonna go wrong, or because you don't know, it's something that they don't tell you about, really, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
But it was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And then I guess like hearing like obviously your incredible story, honestly, you're so brave, like in terms of just how much you've just taken it all on board and got on with it each step of the way, and honestly hearing you talk about it's incredible. But now looking back, is there any advice, having been through what you've been through, that you would give to someone that is going through something similar or what you've been through?
Probably that there is an end. Most of the time there is an end to it. You know, treatment feels very long, and like it's a roller coaster. You know, some days you're up, down, all over the place, and I think like there is an end to it.
Yeah.
You know, so for me it was, and when I came out of the other side, it felt a lot shorter than it did when I was in it.
Yeah.
So all in all, my treatment was 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Without the surgeries. And so I think that was, but when I was in it, I was like, I feel like I've been doing this forever.
100%.
You know? So I think that's probably a bit of advice, is like, it does come to an end.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess as well, like hearing you chat around like your support and stuff, I imagine like a big part of probably what you would advise people to do is lean on that support as well around you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, and I think there can be quite a taboo around speaking about these things, and people can be quite cagey about speaking about finding a lump or being worried about a rash or something, you know, anything. And I think talking to your friends, your family, your team, whoever, I think it helps massively.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then just kind of to round up, some other kind of cool stuff to chat about in terms of, you've not only gone back to rugby, but you're also taking on roles in terms of leadership stuff at your rugby club. So in terms of vice captain of your team, and also vice president of the club, is that right?
Yes.
So of Lismore Rugby Club.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how both of those came about and how you found those roles.
So I think that the vice captain role is something that I naturally moved into.
Yeah.
Like as a senior sort of player in the team.
Yeah.
And I think I know the girls quite well, and I feel like I'm quite personable, and so I think for me it was like a natural progression into like a leadership role in the team. And you know, initially I think on game day, like having those chats and being the voice on the team, like on the pitch, can be quite intimidating, but actually when you're in it, like I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and I love motivating my team and, you know, being the voice for them and that kind of stuff. And then club wise, again, I love Lismore so much.
Yeah.
You know, they're my family.
Yeah.
And so I think again, I wanted to be on the leadership team of the club because I feel like I can make a difference and be the voice for the women on the committee.
Yeah.
You know, and be able to speak up about things that are happening on our team that maybe the wider committee don't always see.
Okay, and then I've just got one final question which we ask all of our guests, and that is, if you could give a younger version of yourself advice, what would it be?
Probably enjoy life and do everything with a smile.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming and chat to me today. Honestly, it's been so incredible to hear about your journey, and also just thank you for being so open about it and and speaking so well. So thank you so much, and all the best with your season ahead.
Thank you so much.